You there! How is it that you're leaving Nagasadow's tomb by yourself? You went in for your final test, didn't you? Where is Master Uthar? What? You? But you aren't even a Sith yet. Surely you jest. It's a spy! Quick, to arms!
But if the spy was able to kill Master Uthar...
Don't be such a coward! Kill the traitor! Do it now!
That hurt, I bet.
Got something on your mind, do you? Not particularly. I suppose you're going to nag me until I cough it up, aren't you? Nothing is private anymore, it looks like. There's no escaping it, I guess. So be it. My wife's name was Neyama. She was the Yukanis enforcer who shot me out of the sky, if you remember. My wife had plenty to do with the war. Upon meeting her, I knew right away that she was strong in the Force. That's why she was able to shoot me down. Neyama was a marvel of a woman. Fiery, determined, smart. She dragged me to the capital and foiled 3 of my attempts to escape prison. Oh, and that body. Well, yes, that. Needless to say, I eventually won her over. That was after I kidnapped her upon being broken out of the Yukatas prison, mind you. But, that's another story entirely. At any rate, I wanted to train her in the Jedi way. The Council refused my request, naturally. I was still a Padawan at the time. I was an experienced Padawan, surely, but not yet ready to be a full Jedi, and certainly not ready to train another, especially not one so old as my wife. I did. I wasn't the first, and I won't be the last. The problem with self-righteous folk is they think they're more right than everyone else. I believed in her and trained her in secret. I ignored her willful nature. I loved her too much to see fault in her. And she loved me too. I know she did. At the time, our love was a shared bliss. Better than anything I had known before or since. Exar Kun is what happened. Neyama was inspired by Exar's promises of a new golden age. She wanted to join him. She came to me, pleading with me to throw aside what she called the decrepit trappings of the Jedi, to join her in Exar's war. I hadn't thought so, not right then. I was too proud to believe that of her. I had trained her myself. I loved her. I pleaded with her to reconsider, to think about all that she was throwing away, to think about what she would become. She would have none of it. Finally, in frustration, she attacked me. She drew her lightsaber and attempted to strike me down. It was a scene being repeated everywhere throughout the galaxy. Pupil against master. In my case, it was a long and terrible battle, but I defeated her. No, I had her at my mercy, disarmed and defenseless. She looked up at me and she knew. She knew I couldn't do it. But I should have. Sometimes I convince myself otherwise, but it's no use. She had fallen to the dark side when she raised her saber against me, and I let her go. To my shame, she went on to kill many Jedi during the war, until she herself was slain in the final battle. I grieved for her death, Inevitable as it was, even as the Jedi Council put me on trial for my actions once the war was over. I had trained Neyama against their wishes. I had failed to kill her when I had the chance, and she went on to kill others. Not to mention that I had remained a Padawan throughout the war. A formality, perhaps, but with the trial, it had to be decided if I was worthy to become a Jedi at all. It was a travesty, of course. I told you that even the Jedi were capable of great injustices, didn't I? But I deserved to be tried. They found me innocent. Even though I deserved every punishment and more, they let me go. Mitigating circumstances, they said. I deserved compassion, they said. They said I had learned wisdom the hard way. For all I had done during the war, they wished to raise me to full Jedi status at long last. That was when the Jedi left me. That was when they failed me. No, maybe you doubted that. They may have been able to forgive me. I could never forgive myself. Yes, I do, I suppose. Does that surprise you? It is all so long ago, lost in the winds, I suppose. Nobody cares what an old man believes anymore, do they? Let's continue on with the task at hand. I would prefer to think of the present today.
Yes, what's on your mind? I think so. If he's anything like he used to be, Dustil hates to be tricked. There's no way he'll let the Sith trick him again. As for whether or not he'll be my son again, I don't know. He's so full of anger and hate. I wasn't expecting him to be like this. Well, maybe we can work it out. I hope so. I guess I'll have to wait and see. Thanks, by the way, for all your help. Yes, what's on your mind? If you're ready to talk, then yes. So am I. I can't hate you. I tried. I wanted to hold you responsible for all the things you've done for my wife, for Telos, for Dustil. But I can't. I got the revenge I always wanted when Saul died, but it hasn't brought me the peace that I thought it would. Despite whatever part of Revan is inside you, the darkness that must surely be there, it isn't who you are. That's why I can't hate you, why I don't want any more revenge. You don't have to be Revan. You can be so much more. Whatever the Jedi did to you, they gave you that chance. Whatever's happened up until this point, there's going to come a time very soon where you're going to have to make a choice, and there won't be any turning back. Well, then I hope I can save you from yourself. Yes, what's on your mind? You got it.
Chiwi aita ka chong chicha. Agi inko tune chuna muri ra. Tangi wama jiko na. Tonki pa nonku nek abog. Kihi muri ra kun kin. Tong hit wama agi inko tune. Skronki do pacnimo, ci itakanki chana kilkon. Kimba muri rabwana ji, kimba no kun nikset abog. Tong hit wama ag I inko tune. Por tong hi wama ji aki inko tun. Tong pa no kun, no nek. Chiwi aita ka chong chicha. Ki muli ra kun kin. Kimba no kun nik dorcha. Chiwa aita kang kicha na chupornibo. Kun muli ras limo poiwanga tang itwamaji human ak in ikatune. Jiska dosoki kopa bono nakachu. Labora na winki smack toma. Kuyami jusku chitanai. Uchua penki. Topa na ota vokasa. Yubabato kanchi. Yatuka ulan.
Sure.
Got something on your mind, do? Oh, that was not until many years later, to tell the truth. I spent quite some time wandering the galaxy. Why wouldn't they? I had refused my promotion to Jedi. I was a Padawan who had left the Order, nothing more. I traveled from one civilized system to the next, never staying long. I don't even think I knew what I was searching for. It wasn't as if my travels were pleasant either. There were plenty of folks who distrusted the Jedi after the war, or worse. If people weren't treating me with suspicion, they were looking at me with greed. I don't know how many thought they could make use of me for their own ends. I got so sick of the treachery and deceit, I left the civilized parts of the galaxy and headed instead for the uncivilized parts. Actually, I was on my way somewhere else when I crash-landed on Kashyyyk. The ship I was using was a rust bucket. I'd taken some damage passing through an unexpected asteroid field, as I recall, but I wasn't completely without some systems. I could still guide her a bit when I crashed. It wasn't what I would call the smoothest landing, especially considering I ended up smack in the depths of the Shadowlands. But I lived. I'm no mechanic, and besides, after you plunge nose first in the trunk of a 5-kilometer-high tree, chances are you don't have much ship left. Sure, why not? It seemed like an interesting enough place to spend a couple of decades exploring. That was a challenge at first. You've seen the kind of creatures that exist down there, and you missed the really big ones. I was still able to rely on the Force to keep me safe for the most part. The rest of the trick is keeping out of the way of most of the predators. Oh, that's true. Still, most of the creatures grew accustomed to me, and I to them. At least none of them ever heard of a Jedi. What do you know? I'd done enough wandering by that point, thank you very much. I felt at peace in the Shadowlands. Oh, they did at first, oh yes. I can't say I was overly pleased to encounter a group of indigenous giant carpets either, I can assure you of that. No. I was the intruder in their land, after all. They got to trust me well enough after a couple of decades of my aid. When I could, I would assist a few young ones who would get lost in the Shadowlands or attacked unexpectedly by the wildlife. I must say, for a while there, the Wookiees actually thought I was some kind of benevolent forest god. Amusing, really. I set them straight eventually. At first, when the slavers took to hunting down lone Wookiees in the fringes of the Shadowlands, I did my best to divert them. Later, when Shundar made his deal, I didn't see any point. I wasn't here to save them from their own sad follies, after all. Nonsense. I had no idea that's what they were thinking for a long time. I just thought they were being friendly neighbors, leaving fruit and such for me. Later, when I started to understand some of their grunting, I realized they would say prayers to the Hairless One before descending into the forest. Hairless One. I used to have plenty of hair, I tell you. At any rate, it took a few bruises, but I set the record straight. I traveled to Rookwaro and met with the chieftain in front of everyone. Freyr swatted at me just to see if I was real or not. I was real, and while it was a light swat, Wookiees are terribly strong. I was knocked out cold for a day. The Wookiees all thought it was quite funny. Not really. Kashyyyk is a place you can feel very small in. It felt good to devote my time to helping people and living simply. What can I say? I did it all for the Wookiees. The Wookiees? Well, okay, maybe I needed some time on a quiet and remote planet, but if you ever need a friend, an incredibly strong hairball isn't a bad call. Why, thank you. You're not so bad yourself, all things considered. At any rate, we should be moving along, don't you think? If you sat around this long in the Shadowlands, a tack would eat you.